What metrics do you use to manage and track engagement on these online platforms?
Ooh, that's a great question. I know my specific answers. I guess the better question would be, what are you using, Dan? They're all a little different. Yeah, we have a discipleship pathway that we've developed. So I mentioned the Twitch, Discord, YouTube, and that's also our discipleship pathway. So we intend for people to find us on Twitch, to engage with us on Discord, and to dive deeper with us on YouTube. And so those are three different statistics that we need to understand and analyze. So for Twitch, for instance, if it's our evangelism platform, it's where we're hoping to reach people, then I want to look at unique viewers. That's the metric that matters the most to me. So I don't care if we have 50 people watching us at once. If those 50 people that are watching us are the only people that have ever seen us, then we're not achieving our goal.
Yep.
I want to reach as many unique eyeballs as possible with every single stream that we do. And so on Twitch, we have a variety stream where we play different games every single time, and that way we reach the most amount of people. None of those people ever, not none of them. Most of those people don't ever get engaged beyond just a cursory level of saying, hey, you're playing my favorite game. But it allows for that initial interaction to happen with the most amount of people. Then on Discord, that's where it matters a little bit more that I want consistency. So we have, 400 and something people in our Discord. Not all 400 of those people are active. They're all there. They've all said yes to join us, but whether they're actually active is what matters to me. So
Are you calling me out right now? You're describing me on your Discord right now. I'm there, yeah. But I'm not very.
How many of those 400 people are gems there just kind of checking it out? And then how many of them are actually like engaging with what we're doing and participating in the life of the community there? And then on YouTube, it's a whole nother level. I actually look at two factors there because it's turned into an outreach platform. So I look at our uniques, I look at our click-through rate, I look at that kind of stuff. But then I'm also very intentional about looking where those clicks are coming from. I want to know how many of them come from our Discord community. Because if it's meant to be our discipleship platform, I need to know, okay, how many of our people that are clicking through are a part of our community that are engaging deeper in what we're doing. So sometimes that's through metrics of click-through. Sometimes it's through just literally asking them, like, did you watch this week's sermon? And that word of mouth metric tends to work the best for us. But that's like the three things that I use and how I use them and why I use them.
Well, what I love is, as with everything you've talked about in this conversation, there's such specificity and intentionality. So it allows you to have very particular things you're measuring that based off of, which that's where I'd say there's two things you need to do. One is do what you just did and really know the purpose and the intent behind it so you know what metrics actually match up to what goals. And then the other, I think, is you just generally, for the most part, I look at online metrics as a trend and not like an actual like pinpoint. I want to look at what is it telling me in a larger narrative. Like, how many views a video got doesn't actually mean people watch that whole video, but I can look at those on a macro scale and say, oh, it seems like this type of video consistently gets this type of viewership, whereas that type gets nothing. That tells me something about just what type of content is worth our time in creating, in a general sense. Or having a sense of the trajectory of how many followers or subscribers you have can be helpful just to know where is this all going? Is it moving in a direction that's reaching more people or reaching less people? And that just speaks something into the work that's being done. But then the specific metrics, I think, need to be tied to specific objectives and goals. Like if you just want to grow on YouTube, if your goal is to be a YouTuber, I mean, Mr. Beast says it all the time that, it's CTR and AVD, click-through rate and average view duration are probably your two highest priority metrics. Are people seeing the thumbnail and clicking it? That's your click-through rate. And then how much of the video are they watching? Are they dropping off after 20 seconds or 20 minutes or whatever kind of a thing? And that just tells you a lot about how you're creating the content and how you're even putting it in front of people. But that comes from the specificity of what are you trying to accomplish within a platform to then look at specific metrics that actually match up to that. So I think just like, hopefully churches do this in other ways. We don't just count Sunday morning attendance butts in seats as we did it, but it shows a trend. It shows you a trajectory that you can then learn from and value. But then when it comes to the specificity, you might have more of a discipleship pathway like you're talking about, and you can see how are people actually engaging in those different spaces in our traditional ministry senses, as well as in these digital spaces as well. Whew.
A fun little test to do too that we always tell people like what to thumbs up for. So like if you're on YouTube, for instance, we're like, if you liked this video more than our other sermon on this, give us a thumbs up. And that way I can see how many people are actually like paying attention and clicking that thumbs up. Because if we get the same amount as usual, then I'm like, okay, nobody paid attention or nobody watched this part of the video. Or you can even like let them know what to drop down in the comments, something like hyper specific. And then you have two things happening. Number one, you know who watched the whole video. And number two, you have a bunch of people so confused about why everybody is commenting like Fuzzy Llama down in the comments. So it's real fun to do. Those are two little games if you want to play with your congregation or your audience or whoever's watching you online.
I've seen YouTubers do that second one a lot, and it's fun. It makes me feel like an insider when I'm like, I'm going to go to the comments and say that, and then add to that mass confusion. So that's really good.